This is Rik Palieri, and welcome to another chapter in the Songwriter's Notebook. And we've been having a kind of a fun time. We had a little extra time today. We did. So we got a chance to talk a little bit. I've been wanting to get Cooie, this is Cooie Francesco, on the show for quite a while. And I finally found the time. And my little dyslexia kicked in here.
Oh, that's okay.
and my numbers got reversed, so we had a little extra time to get to know each other a little bit.
We made good use of it.
And I think that the viewers at home are really going to enjoy getting to know you, Cooie. And before I go any further, where did that name come from?
My baby brother was born in 1955, and though he's yay tall, and he's now 62. When he was learning how to speak, he couldn't pronounce Carolyn. And because he was the baby of the family, and of course everything the baby does is so cute, everything the baby says is so cute, because you're not looking for that proof of design like you are with the older kids. So the baby can stay a baby for a while. Anyway, when he called me Cooie, that changed my life. My first grade teacher called me Cooie. The priest who married me to my husband 46 and a half years ago, and still counting, called me Cooie. So I think it's going to stick.
It seems like it's going to stick.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, I think that one of the things I'd like to do is kind of get you to sing us a song, and then we're going to talk a little bit about your life and talk a little bit about why you do the music that you do.
Okay. Well, let me start at the beginning by adapting a little song from Bobby Troup written in 1946, because, Rick, you see, I was born in St. Albans in 51, middle of the last century. I grew up in the south end of Burlington, right up the street on Flint Avenue. They say you can get to Vermont from there. Times I don't know, but I'm getting my kicks now that I'm 66. That's right.
favorite tunes, and I've spent a lot of time out there on Route 66. Have you been out there?
I have not been there so much. I've gone through one time.
Well, one time is all it takes to get that feeling of the open road.
Yes.
And you know, the thing about an open road is it's sort of like life. It takes you on that long journey. And you have an interesting journey because you kind of started music late in your life.
I would say that.
But when did you start singing?
I started singing in the family Oldsmobile. My father, my mother, my older sister, my brother, little Ricky, who named me, in the front seat. And remember, in those days, it was a bench seat. And we went from the south end of Burlington up to St. Albans to visit both my mother's and father's families. And it took an hour in those days on old Route 7. And we sang all the way up and all the way back. And since there were 4 people in the car who were older than I, my choice of notes was made only after the 4 elders picked theirs. Otherwise, I'd get a little elbow saying, hey, you're singing my part again. Stop that. So, Rick, I developed the most important skill for a musician or anyone, and that is the skill of listening first to hear what was there, and then finding the place where I could go, going there, and staying there. And when someone flipped up or down an octave because it went out of their range, I knew I could hop to that spot. So it became very easy, second nature for me, to sing full-throated in that beautiful little acoustic chamber, hurtling up Route 7 to St. Albans and all the way back. So that's where I learned how to sing.
And you had to sing loud.
Well, loud enough to be heard. And, you know, and it was all about what it sounded like. So you can imagine when I was 19 years old, having sung along with records with friends, when a girlfriend of mine and I peered into a rehearsal that was going on with a rock and roll band, the Enfield Revival. And one of the band members said, oh, Cooie, come on in and sing. You know, the only thing that had ever watched me was the bench seat. So there were no eyes on me. And the thought of someone looking at me while I had my mouth open was simply terrifying. I ran away. And it wasn't until 42 years later when someone fortunately asked me again that I said, you know, 42 years was about long enough to be afraid of this, and I'm going to try it.
And that was at an open mic, right?
That was for a band rehearsal where the singer was out of town, and we're going to get together anyways, and it's just us guys after work in the basement, and so and it was the next day, and I will admit I'd had a couple of sips of red wine, so it made it easy for me to say, yeah, sure, why not? And so I went there, and then the following month I sang out for the first time, out in public in front of people, at a place called On the Rise Bakery in Richmond that hosted the monthly blues jam, and I sang one song, and I made my way back to the table and put my head in my hands and wept. It was that cathartic for me.
Yeah, that's why I remember
beginning.
seeing the photos.
Yeah.
You posted photos of that very first time, and that's why I said it was an open mic. And
That's right, yeah.
So that was the first time you sang in public.
In public. Willingly, yes.
Yeah. And did you play guitar?
I had begged for a guitar as a teenager. Before the British invasion, the folk revival, Peter, Paul and Mary, Bob Dylan, Joan Baez. And so I begged and begged and begged for a guitar, and I got a guitar, and I got the big soft cover Bob Dylan songbook that had all the chords diagrammed so I could learn them. So I would play and sing to myself in my room. And that was fun. And then life intervened, and I got busy doing other things that teenagers do, and that fell by the wayside, particularly when it came to making bar chords. You know, I have little bony hands, and it's difficult for a person with smaller hands to muscle their way around up here. So I gave it up. And when I started playing music again, singing, there was a point at which I was singing with a little ensemble, and I thought, you know, I probably should get a guitar again because I know these chords that I'm singing, and I can figure that out. So I did that. One thing led to another, to another, to another.
And now you make your living playing music.
Yes.
I mean, that's not an easy thing to do, but you know, you found a way to do that, not only to, you know, be able to satisfy you, but to satisfy a need out in the community.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons that I thought it would be so nice to have you on our show, is because I think that people don't really understand, you know, that they think about music as, well, that's nice, but they don't realize that it actually has a healing power. And because you work with a lot of people, a lot of elderly people.
Yes.
And you've seen that transformation of what music can do. So let's turn back the clock a little bit. And so when did you start singing at some of these, you know, different elder type of facilities?
Well, my mother passed away in 2014, a victim of dementia. And while she had been at this particular facility, there'd been a musician who came in and sang a lot of the old songs. My mother was almost post-verbal, but she looked right in my eyes and sang every word to the songs, just like old times. And when it came time for me to cast about for a way to do more singing in more places, I thought, these old songs are the songs that I'm in love with. I cherish them. And I bet I know a place where other people will cherish them as well. So I approached this one place and said, you know, do you think I could come in? And they said, yeah, come on in. And one thing led to another. Not too long later, I asked my husband, he's such a good salesman. He's such a good salesman. I've been married to him for 46 and a half years. He could sell me my own socks. I asked him to book for me, and it was just amazing because I could then focus on learning new songs and playing them and just the music part of it. He took care of everything else. So
and
that
still
was
does.
the key, and still does, yes.
He's right here in the studio.
He is. And you know, he's run out of available time slots to book me, so he has taken up being a talent buyer for different venues. So that keeps him in the game. Yeah.
Why don't you give us a song that you might sing, one of the songs that if you were at one of these, you know, because I think people have to understand it's not just nursing homes, but there's all different types of levels.
Oh, yes. I call my nursing home, elder care, rehab facilities collectively my daytime audiences. They are the people I see maybe mid-morning or maybe 1:30 in the afternoon or 2:30 or 3:30 or 4:30, 5 or 6 o'clock for 1 hour. And for that time, we share songs that I know they like. We share songs that they might sing along to. They tell me stories about this was my wedding song, or my mother used to rock me to sleep with this song, or most poignantly at a memory care facility. I once sang the Elvis song "Love Me Tender," which is a rewrite of Aura Lee, a Civil War era song. And I sang the song, and a couple of songs later, a little voice came from halfway back in the audience. "Would you please sing Love Me Tender? It was my husband's favorite song." Now that's one level of poignant. After this little concert, the caregiver pulled me by the sleeve and said, "Let me tell you something. That lady moved into our facility a number of weeks ago. We didn't know that she was verbal. Those are the first words she's uttered." So it took that long. It took a couple of songs for this person to come back into herself, to remember who she was, that she'd had a husband, and that his favorite song was "Love Me Tender." And that is just one example of many.
Well, there's this whole idea about music. It affects the brain in a different way.
Yeah.
And even people who cannot speak, when they hear the music, I mean, everybody's pretty, I've experienced it myself. It's kind of frightening when you know that this person cannot speak, and all of a sudden, they're singing.
They're singing.
They're singing. It all is right there.
Yes. So this is the centennial year of my father's birth. He was born in 1918. So I've just started to look at songs that were written in 1918 that my Nana Simpson might have sung to him as an infant, putting him down for a nap or rocking him to sleep. Sweet, huh? I'm always chasing rainbows, watching clouds drifting by. My schemes are just like all my dreams, ending in the sky. Some folks look and find the sunshine. I always look and find the rain. Some folks make a winning sometime. I never even make a gain. Believe me, I'm always chasing rainbows, waiting to find a little bluebird in vain.
You could just see all the people listening to that song and feeling relaxed and happy. And was there ever a moment that you really felt something special in the room when you were singing?
The very first time I was brave enough to look out and look into people's eyes and to see them responding to I look around the floor and see the toes tapping. I look and see people voicing the words, the lyrics to the song. They're connecting.
And you know, when you're not doing that, you're going around and playing with a lot of musicians in the evening. So that's what I'm saying. It's kind of a balance between the two, where you're giving of yourself. You know, because when you're doing this kind of work, and it's work, you know, that you're learning
It's an
songs
avocation.
that people might enjoy, that maybe if you were just singing for yourself, you might not sing that song,
Well, I pretty much fall in love with, there are songs that I look at quite closely and I pass because they may have an overt racist lyric that I won't sing. I won't go there. But pretty much people like the sweet songs about love and loss and happiness and sadness, all the wide gamut of experiences. And just because people are, if you'll call it, confined to a particular residence and get out into the big world less often than the rest of us do, doesn't mean that they don't engage in all of those feelings. And it's a blessing for me to go out and to be able to bring them something. It's called, in many of the places I visit, the Cooie bump.
The Cooie bump. For
a little way, a few days or maybe a week before I get there, it's, Cooie's coming next week, Cooie's coming. And for a few days after I leave, that was that song that she sang for us, And you know what? She can hit all the notes. And you know what? She can hold all the notes too. And it's just delightful to give to give music because it comes right back.
Well, you have another song you have in mind here.
I do. And just as it's possible, because my father was born in May of 1918, just as it's possible that he heard that song, I'm Always Chasing Rainbows, while he was a little passenger with his mother, I am certain that I heard this next song when I was a passenger with my mother. It was, I believe, August of 1950 when Hank Williams started to write this song. And exactly 9 months later, I was born. So that tells me something very powerful. That is that the great Hank Williams and my father got the same idea at the same time. Only Hank used his idea to write a song. My father expressed himself much more privately. Song goes like this. Hey, good looking, what you got cooking? How's about cooking something up with me? Hey, sweet baby, don't you think, baby, we could find us a brand new recipe? You got a hot rod Ford and a 2 How's about it?
All right. Cooie, that was really wonderful. And you have a website, right?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
CooieSings.com.
CooieSings.com. It's right there on the screen, folks, so that
Cookie without a K.
if you want to hear more of the songs, you probably have some videos that they could watch on there.
I do.
And you can find out more of the information about where she's going and where she's been. And I think that you're going to keep on traveling for a while now, right?
I am. You know, last year I closed out with a sum total of something in the area of 430 some odd engagements. Now, mostly 1 hour. So, you know, I'm not going beyond what my resources can bear.
So Sal's being easy on you.
I'm the boss. I'm the boss.
Well, you have a little song that I think we almost are out of time, folks. I mean, you know, it's been wonderful to be here with you, Cooie. And
thank you for having me.
Folks at home, you know, you can find out more information on her website. And look for her around town. You know, she likes to play a lot with local musicians. And she just did a wonderful show over at the Sugar House over there in Shelburne, singing as the maple syrup was,
That's right.
was boiling up.
It was boiling.
So what do you have as a final song for us?
An old song from the 1930s about self-help.
All right.
Right down and write myself a letter and make believe it came from you. I'm gonna write words oh so sweet, they're gonna knock me off my feet. I'll put kisses on the bottom and I'll be glad I got 'em. I'm gonna smile and say I hope you're feeling better, and close with love the way you do. I'm gonna sit right down and write myself a letter